Tom kali ini. Oh, ini dia 3 lawan 3 Profesor Tom HAYE.
Welcome to the HAYE WAY. It's time for a very special episode. Last week we had a great episode with Coach Justin, and we promised you part 2. But that was something different than we're recording today because there happened so many things with Timnas over the last week. The head coach got fired. Patrick Kluivert became the new head coach. And then suddenly I'm on holidays. I'm in South Africa. Tom is preparing with Almere City. And we promised you a second part with Coach Justin. So Tom and I discussed it. I'll do the interview this week. Tom will hopefully be back next week. And then, yes, he's on holidays too. Coach Justin said, okay, half an hour of my time. I'm in Singapore. We'll talk about Patrick Kluivert being the new head coach of Timnas. So welcome back, Coach Justin.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Where are you at the moment?
I'm in Singapore right now.
Oh, what are you doing in Singapore?
I often go to Singapore 4 or 5 times in a year just for holiday, for just going out of the reality.
So you could
for
use a holiday.
5 days.
Yeah, you could use a holiday after all the news what happened the last I say week, because early in the week the previous head coach got fired, and there was a lot of speculation about why that happened. I think the only person knows why that happened is Erik Tohier. So if we ever have Erik Tohier on the podcast, we will discuss it with Erik Tohier. And I saw a lot of speculation going on in the media in Indonesia, on social media. So I also talked with Tom about it, and his name was mentioned a few times. And the only thing I know when Tom and I talked about it is that he had a really good relationship with the coach. And he said, like I stick to the plan of Erik Tohier, and if Erik thinks this is the best thing to do at the moment, we follow Erik, and so that's it at the moment. And then suddenly, Patrick Kluivert, out of nothing, is the new head coach. Out of nowhere. And what was your first reaction, Coach Justin?
I was also a bit shocked because I know a couple of Dutch coaches, and I have another candidate in my head. Okay,
tell me.
And it's definitely not Patrick Kluivert.
Who was your candidate?
Person like Fred Rutten. A person with experience, and maybe Van Bommel.
Mark Van Bommel, yeah.
Mark Van Bommel. But somehow, it is what it is. I highly respected Erik Tohier. He's a strategist. He knows what he's doing. Maybe he doesn't publish it, all of it. On Monday, we heard from Fabrizio Romano that Patrick Kluivert was announced. Yeah. Here we go. And today, Wednesday, PSSI announced officially that Patrick Kluivert is the new coach. Besides that, Alex Pastoor and Danny Landzaat become his assistant.
Yeah.
This is also that we don't know. Things that we just know from the media. And I think this is after taking a while, thinking about Alex Pastoor and Landzaat, I think this is a good choice. Because if you talk about experience, let's be honest, he doesn't have much experience. And the target is, for me, if you replace the previous coach, the target is joining World Cup. So he needs good assistant. And I think we agree that Alex Pastoor is the right person, especially on the tactical part. Yeah. So I think this whole 3-person is already being orchestrated by Erik Tohier. So every person has its own job desk. Patrick with his name, with his fame as a player, and his ability to embrace the dressing room, to communicate with local players, and he has the same culture like the other Dutch players. So there is also a lot of positive things. besides the minus things. So I think when you take a look at the whole package, 3%, I hope and I think this will work
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
Yeah.
the whole rumors became, we only know that solely Patrick was announced. The other two came 2 days later.
True.
So that's why almost the whole nation became, it's
Yeah,
50-50, yeah.
yeah. Of course.
50% are against Patrick Kluivert and 50% says, like me, okay, maybe this is a bit shock for us, but we still have to go with this guy. It's
I
not his
know. Like,
fault.
no, that's it. I think like the only one who can really oversee the whole project is Erik Tohier. He has
Yeah,
been he started this project. He has the vision,
yeah, yeah.
and to be honest, if he thinks that Timnas needs a new coach, he's the person who can do it.
He's the
So I think
person.
he
Yeah,
he looked at the situation. He looked,
yeah,
okay, we have a really good chance of qualifying, but maybe
yeah,
we have a bigger chance if we put new coaches in front of that.
yeah. So exactly, that's the point. It's increasing the probabilities to enter
Yeah,
the World Cup. There is no coach who can guarantee Indonesia will go to the World Cup. No
true,
one in this world,
true.
no coach. But you can increase the probability. This is what Eric Poyer is doing, and maybe or hopefully most of our Indonesian fans understand the situation. There
Yeah,
is no guarantee. I agree. There is no guarantee with no
no.
coach, but he just increased the probability. And I think when I heard Patrick Kluivert, then Alex Pastoor and Danny Landzaat, I think we have a good team. We have a good team to to support or to conduct these players to the right direction. At
Yeah.
least we must do better than the previous coach.
Yeah, I think the thing is, the three coaches now, Landzaat, Pastoor, and Kluivert, they have one mission. They need to qualify for
Yeah,
2026.
yeah,
And
I
that's okay.
agree.
They have a contract until
Yeah,
2027.
yeah.
And I think it's what we should do, I think, Coach Justin, is that we start with Kluivert and then we'll discuss also Danny Landzaat and Alex Pastoor
Yeah, yeah,
because they
yeah.
both have a
Okay.
really interesting story. So, Patrick
Yeah.
Kluivert, what's your most famous um, memory of him?
When he became champion in '95 in the Champions
Champions
League
League.
with
Yeah,
young Ajax and Van
yeah,
Gaal
yeah.
behind it,
And turning his
Seedorf,
jersey
you
around,
name it,
and
turning
pointing
it
at
just
it.
around. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think that's
yeah,
the first time because it was very young team. He
yeah,
was very young. He went to AC Milan. He failed in AC Milan. Went to Barcelona. He succeeded in Barcelona. I think
yeah.
as a player, everybody knows Peter Kluivert is one of the big player with name as a player. As a
Yeah.
player, so at
Yeah.
at least I think most of the Dutch players and the Indonesian players somehow they have respect for him because he was a big player.
Yeah.
Maybe not as a
Like,
coach, but as a player.
no, true. I remember his goal in the World Cup 1998. It was against Brazil. I
Yeah,
think a
against
few minutes left. Ronald de Boer, he gave
yeah,
the ball
yeah,
in the box,
long
and then
ball, yeah, yeah,
Kluivert,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, a
heading, yeah,
great
yeah,
header.
yeah,
I think if he looks back at his career, if he would put more effort into it, he had so much talent. So funny thing for
yeah.
the Indonesian watchers, he has the same birthday as Ruud van Nistelrooy. Ruud van Nistelrooy. They're
Oh, that I
both
don't know.
they're both the same age. But Ruud van
Oh, okay,
Nistelrooy, he had to work really hard. Didn't have the talent as
yeah,
Patrick Kluivert, and Patrick Kluivert
yeah,
had so much talent. But I think
yeah,
if you look at his career, he was. Hey, I would advise everyone who's listening or watching this podcast, go on YouTube and watch the highlights of Patrick Kluivert as a player.
yeah,
You will
yeah,
enjoy it. Then
yeah,
after that, he wanted to become a coach. He was coach on different levels. He did the national team of Curaçao.
yeah.
He did the young team of FC Twente. He became the technical director at Paris Saint-Germain. But I
PSG,
think
yeah,
PSG, I think, what was a really important role, and I didn't read a lot about it in the Indonesian media, his role during the World Cup 2014. He was the assistant of Louis van
As the
Gaal.
assistant of Van Gaal, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Working
why
at
when
the
the name came
highest
up,
level.
yeah. That's why when the name came up, everybody asked me, Neil. Everybody asked me, the whole Indonesia asked me, why Patrick Kluivert? I need hours to think. And the most logical thing to connect with the appointment of Patrick Kluivert is maybe Indonesia wants Louis van Gaal, but he's just recovered from his illness and his
Yes.
advisor in Ajax, and maybe he recommend Patrick Kluivert to Erik Thoijer or to PSSI.
Yeah,
Can it
I
be
think
that
that
way?
could be, yeah, it could be a good way.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
I talked to a lot of people in Dutch football. I was really interested about, Patrick Kluivert as a coach. And they said if he has, and then people didn't know who were going to be his assistants. They said
yeah,
if he gets good assistants, it could be a really good match because he played at the highest level. He had the
yeah,
experience playing the Champions League final, winning it, playing the World
yeah,
Cup semi-final, scoring in
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
He worked all over the world. He worked in Australia. He worked at the World Cup. He
yeah,
worked at Curacao.
yeah,
He
yeah,
worked at Ajax. He worked at AZ. He worked at so many clubs and nations. He has a lot of experience. But I
yeah,
think if you have two coaches next to him who are specialized in certain things, I think the
yeah,
three of them, they make a
yeah,
perfect fit. Not one of them. I think the combination
yeah.
of those three,
The
that make a
combination,
perfect
yeah,
fit. Right?
yeah. That is also what Erik Thoijer has in his mind. It's not only Kluivert, but one package. Each of them has his own specialty, but hopefully, with the support of our fans of Timnas, hopefully they can achieve the impossible.
Yeah. No, but I think that's a good thing what you said, because I also read a lot of people were disappointment of
Yeah,
about the previous coach being sacked,
yeah,
and but I think, of course, there are a lot of emotions. But I think when
yeah,
it's in March, there are two huge games,
yeah,
Australia away and Bahrain at home. I
yeah.
think everyone in Indonesia
And
have to.
and and Ole Romani most probably will join, and
Yeah,
maybe read about. So it
really.
means this team getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah. Ole
We
Romani
need
just signed
players in front.
at Oxford United this week. Ole Romani.
Who? Yeah, Ole
Ole,
Romani sent. Yeah, yeah. Oxford is the club of Erik Thoijer.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah. No, yeah,
Yeah,
but I think that's also the role of Kluivert, getting more people maybe interested playing for the national team. But looking at those two games, I think for the fans of Timnas, it's important to get behind the team, And if you get
yeah,
two good results in March, what a games are we going to have in June? Imagine if you have
yeah,
two good
yeah,
results in March.
yeah.
And it's
It's
possible,
almost a must. Yeah, yeah. Neil, yesterday I make video for my own
I
YouTube
saw it.
account,
I saw it.
and it
Yes.
was watched by 1.2 million, I think.
I can
And
imagine that, yeah.
one of the comments was, in that video, I tried to convince the national team fans, but this is what it is. He's already appointed. It's
Mm,
also not my candidate, but he's already appointed. Instead of bullying, we better support. At the end of
yes.
the day, it's about Timnas. And one
Yeah.
of the comments, he said, okay, we will always support Timnas. But at this moment, we don't support Patrick Kluivert because he has to earn our respect,
Yeah.
like the previous coach.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
means, I said, I agree with him. Patrick Kluivert and the other coaches has to earn the respect of the fans. But to earn the respect of the fans, you must give him a chance.
True. Yeah. Yeah, no, true. I totally agree with you. And the thing is also, I read a lot about experience, right? And I think it's a word that's used so many times, but in the wrong
Yeah,
context.
in
Because
the wrong context.
look at Jose Mourinho, 2003
Yeah.
with Porto. No experience, winning the Champions League.
Pep.
Louis van Gaal, 1995, Ajax.
Yeah.
No experience, winning the Champions League. You know, you
Yeah.
can look at all the big coaches who had to have a chance, you know?
Yeah.
And with the right team, with Jose Mourinho, with Louis van Gaal,
Yeah.
who had great assistants at Ajax, Jose Mourinho, who had great assistants at Porto, they could achieve something people didn't believe in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and
Pep
like,
first-
yeah.
Pep, first year of Pep, 6 trophies.
Yeah.
Spain became European champion last year. Who was the coach? De La Fuente.
Nobody knows anymore,
Who is
right?
Who is De La Fuente? I mean,
No, you're right.
this
You're
kind
right.
of things happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into the assistants. Which one? You're my guest. You can choose. Danny Landzaat first of Alex Pastoor.
Pastoor.
Okay.
I followed
you go
Pastoor
first.
when he was a player. When I still lived in Holland. So I know this guy he's quite famous in Netherlands. I mean, he played for Volendam. Maybe nobody knows, but Pastoor is a name from Volendam.
Yeah.
And I read his Wikipedia. I think this is the right guy to assist Kluivert because he's quite good as an analytics in terms of tactical part. He works now for Zigo, right? Or one of the football program.
Yeah.
As an analyst, right?
Yeah. So I have to admit, you know, he makes a podcast for us. He has his own
No,
podcast.
that I don't know.
Yes.
No, I don't know.
Met open
That I don't
vizier. That's how we say it in Dutch. And the thing is, he interviews other coaches. So Arne Slot, Ronald Koeman, all the coaches he interviewed.
Yeah.
And he did that during his last job was Almere City, where Tom plays now.
Yeah.
And he did a fantastic job there. And listening to the podcast, it's a shame for all the people who are now listening to the HAYE WAY. It's all in Dutch. I just texted Alex Pastoor. I said, you have to do all the translation now in Bahasa because people would be really interested. And the thing is, you learn more about Alex, how he interviews. He's always looking about how can I become a better coach. He really listens to different coaches. So he listens to coaches who won the Champions League, but he also listens to coaches who are coaching the amateurs.
Okay.
And he's tactical, like what he did at his last job. It was fantastic at Almere City. So he got promoted with Almere City. And then the first season in the Eredivisie, he made the team so good that every team who played against them, they would say, we had our baddest game of the season. We played really bad today. And then Alex Pastoor said, do you think that's because you played bad or because we had a good idea? Good. So the combination of him, I think he's going to be the tactical mastermind of Timnas. Yeah, I think he's going to look against Australia, Bahrain. He's going to analyze, and then he's going to
against
say,
China.
Yes. I think that's going to be him. So I'm really happy for him. He's a really nice guy. We hope to have him on the HAYE WAY, of course, to talk more about this his decision to join Timnas. And then Danny Landzaat is really interesting because Danny Landzaat, he was a big player, played for the Dutch national team.
I know him as a player.
Yeah, number 6.
Not as a coach.
Okay, yeah. No, he was a number 6. He played for AZ. He played for Feyenoord. He played for Wigan Athletic. Very a player with a lot of brains. You know, center midfield, would always organize it. He never missed a penalty kick. So if you're listening or watching and I made a mistake, please let me know. But he would always, free kicks, PKs, he would be really good. And the funny thing is, I think he's over more than 10 years a coach, but he's taking his time to become a head coach. So he's been assistant in Holland, at AZ, at Feyenoord. Yeah. He's been in Saudi Arabia. He's been in Poland. He's traveled all the way. And the funny thing is, I think he had the chance to travel because he worked with Pascal Jansen. He worked at AZ before. He went to Hungary to Ferencváros.
Hungary. Ferencváros, yeah.
Yeah, and Pascal Jansen just left, I think last week, for New York City FC.
New York, yeah. I know that.
And he had the chance to go with Pascal Jansen, but he declined.
Okay.
And maybe he knew already. We should ask him.
Yeah.
But he is a guy who's a perfect assistant, played at the highest level, played for the Dutch national team, played on every level you want a coach to have be played at. And I think he's going to be assistant who's going to be the how do you say that? The
missing link.
Cement? Yeah, the missing link between Kluivert and Pastoor.
And Pastoor, yeah.
And they are friends, eh? I think Patrick Kluivert already said that. Alex Pastoor, Danny Landzaat and Patrick Kluivert are friends. They played together when they were younger.
Yeah.
I think at the Ajax Youth Academy. And and the funny thing is also that Alex Pastoor and Patrick Kluivert, they did the same training license. So they did academy together.
Okay. So they know each other already.
They know each other
on the pitch, but okay. That's why Patrick Kluivert agrees with him as an assistant coach.
Yeah, yeah. So he said, I can read it. Kluivert said about him, we have a really good vibe together, and he had shown me at Almere City what kind of coach he is. He's a really, really professional coach, and I think he can do a great job for us. And about Danny Landzaat, Patrick Kluivert said, he's a friend of mine who I played with in the youth of Ajax, but most of all, he's a really good and loyal assistant. He worked with so many coaches. He knows the culture of Indonesia and even speaks Bahasa.
Oh yeah, he's Indo.
So,
I know that he's Indo. Half Ambonese, I think. But
I think he is,
I didn't know that he speaks Indonesian.
Patrick Kluivert says. Patrick Kluivert has said it, so he has to do something. He has to say something in Bahasa, eh?
Yeah, but Patrick Kluivert will go to Indonesia on the 12th or on the 11th, this Saturday or Sunday. I think Pastoor and Landzaat will join him, right?
Say it again, sorry.
Patrick Kluivert will go to Indonesia on the 11th.
True. Yeah.
And with Pastoor and Landzaat as well?
I think what I heard is that they all be joining Kluivert for the presentation.
Okay. On the 12th then.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
I hope I will meet them.
Yeah. I have to say also, sorry to our followers. We got so many questions. It's so difficult. But I think, maybe you want to add something about, we talked a lot about the three coaches now. Maybe you have some insight you want to share with us.
No, actually, I'm optimistic about these three coaches. Once again, still there is no guarantee that we will join the World Cup, but the probability is higher than the previous coach. The previous coach has done a good job, tremendous job for Indonesian football. Respect for him. But we enter now in new era. And I really hope the support from Timnas fans, that they give them the benefit of the doubt, regardless what is happening in the past. Yeah. But for the sake of the good for all of us, it's better to support our Timnas and to support these coaches.
Yeah. So I think because I see some questions here, we can talk about them. At Cleo, yes, wants to know, how will the Dutch connection improve the squad?
Yeah. Yesterday I talked about it. It's about cultural things. I mean, it's not about only knowing the language, but knowing the culture. It will fit to each other. It's very easy. I mean, if somebody from Indonesia who just learned Dutch, he went to Holland, it doesn't mean he will fit with the Dutch culture. Yeah. Now we have a coach who knows the culture. I give you an example, Neil. I lived now for 25 years in Indonesia. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
almost every time when I see Dutch person, we click with each other. Seriously, any kind of Dutch player who came to Indonesia, they introduce me. We joke, we talk, few words, and we match because I
Yeah.
know the culture.
Yeah. True.
It's not about I know Dutch language. I know the culture. It's like the first time I meet you. I meet Tom.
Yeah.
We
Yeah. True.
match.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, true. Yeah. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That's a good
yeah,
answer.
yeah. That's why I hope with this the player, especially the Dutch player, become more happy, and the local player, uh, Patrick and friends, can also lift up the quality of the local players.
Yeah. I think that's really good. At bsport.official, uh, they want to know, Coach Justin, what are Kluivert's obstacles when coaching Timnas?
Um, Actually, the most obstacle is, or the most minus part is he didn't get more time, a lot of time to do friendly match.
No.
There is no time. There is no friendly match. That's the minus point. But when they work together and the players respect the coach play according to the Dutch culture, which is attacking football, listen to the players what they want because the time is very tight. I think they will manage a good team
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
minus
there's a
things
lot. Yeah.
is the most obstacle is there is less time. There is almost no time to do some experiment.
No. This is a question from Im Taufik 23. He asked me, how do football fans in the Netherlands see Kluivert as player and coach nowadays? Now, I think I described it, or we described him pretty well. He was
Yeah,
a fantastic striker, scoring really important goals for Ajax, Barcelona, the Dutch national team. So I think that's his, as a player and as a coach. Like, to be honest, like I followed him at Curaçao, but I was more interested in his role as assistant by the Dutch national team during the World Cup 2014. And he was like glue. You know, he had Van Gaal, who was really, really serious. He was no jokes or anything. And Kluivert,
yeah,
he went to players, make the joke and talk to them.
yeah,
This is a famous story. Robin van Persie was the number one striker, and Klaas-Jan Huntelaar. He was
yeah,
really, really disappointment. So Kluivert went over to Huntelaar. He said, take your time. Your chance will be. You will get a chance. Stay focused. Believe in me. And then I think it was the game against Mexico. And there was a PK in the last minute. And Huntelaar took the ball out of the hands of Wesley Sneijder. And he scored. And
he
Holland
took,
went to the
yeah,
quarterfinal. So, and
yeah,
Kluivert, Huntelaar said later, I have to thank Patrick Kluivert for this. He understands what players go through, He played at the
yeah,
highest level. So I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's him as a coach. He understands what's asked in big games, how you prepare for big games. And like you just described, I think it's the
yeah,
three of them that make a really perfect coach. The three
yeah.
coaches together. Um, I think we discussed at Lina Nordiana 99. I think we answered this one. Alex Pastoor will be the assistant. How good is he? No, I think very good. And maybe this one, SRGT Busta. Do you think Kluivert is capable enough to become coach of Timnas?
Sorry, do you think Kluivert is capable of?
Yeah, to become the coach of Timnas, or now being the coach of Timnas. But I think you
Yeah, I
already
think,
answered it,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think he's capable because he got help of two good assists as a friend. I think the three of them, not one player, not only Clifford, but three of them, they are capable to hopefully to bring us to the World Cup.
Yeah. Oh, that would be something, eh? Hey, and we have to say, Erik Tohier, eh? Poh, he's taking a big risk. He
He's
believes in
taking a
this.
big risk.
Oh, but I love
He
it. I
is
love it
taking
when
a big,
people do
yeah,
this, right? Yeah.
yeah. So do I. I think I told to the viewers, to my viewers,
Yeah.
he has two choice. Neil, he has two choices. First is playing safe. Playing safe, it means waiting until March. If the coach failed, 2 match losses, then he
Yeah.
can sack the first. Then he got all the credits. But we have to wait until 2030. That is
Yeah,
the safe
true.
way. He took the risky way. He took the risky way.
He did.
He put new coaches and
Yeah.
all the bet. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, I really hope that we can qualify it. So it means that his strategy works. But he took risk. He knows that. He knows that. For the
Yeah.
sake of national team, he said, for the sake of national team, for the sake of Indonesian people, I will take this risk for us.
Mm. And to be honest, like like you are like really into this for the last 10 years. For me, watching it for the last 2-3 years, the development of Timnas, there's one person responsible for that. That they even have a chance about qualifying for the World Cup. One person who started this project,
De
who
directeur.
calls players, you know,
Yeah.
who says, hey, Tom, hey, Maarten, hey, Jay,
Yeah.
listen, this is the project. And
Yeah.
then he has a vision and he thinks, okay, maybe even if it's 1% more chance, I have to do this. So, I like you said, I'm positive. Of course, I know Alex Pastoor, I know Patrick Kluivert, I know Danny Landzaat. I'm really positive. I think it can push, and let's hope it makes the difference, you know? But you have to stay positive. People were asking me, why am I always positive in the podcast? Because it's the only way to live. You have to stay positive. And especially they haven't, you know?
Exactly.
Like people who are really angry, you haven't seen anything yet. So after the 2 games, you can decide.
Yeah.
But for now, stay positive, stick, get behind the team, get behind Timnas,
and support.
Be positive, be nice to everyone online. You know, of course you can disagree, but be nice and believe.
You know,
believe in it.
Believe in this project. Yeah, I agree.
So I think
that's what we do in this podcast, in my podcast, in your podcast.
Yeah,
we do it in our own way. Stay positive.
True.
Just because this is for the sake of all of us. For the sake of all of us. Not for one person or one. You may like and dislike, but this is for Timnas.
True.
That's why you have to support.
I want to thank you for your time, your knowledge, your passion about Timnas.
Thank you. Thank you, Neal.
Thank you so much, Coach Justin. Thank you so much for making some time during your holiday in Singapore.
Yeah,
and,
sure, no problem.
For all the listeners and viewers, we'll be back next week with a new episode, hopefully with Tom again. And for now, thank you so much, and see you next week.